There's one area in western New York, they received 17 inches of snow.
Oh, my goodness.
Last night.
I'm not ready.
Monday Night Football, I'm going to ask you very happy today. The Giants pulled out a big win.
High five.
A win.
High five. Yeah, we're 2-7 now, so, there is it's so funny. The Giants coaching staff and a couple players were talking this weekend and yesterday about if we can just get a couple wins under our belt, we think we can get something going here. They're 2-7, so I don't think they have a chance. But it was nice to hear them win yesterday because I listened completely on the radio because of my cord cut. If you remember a couple weeks ago, Giants, it was week 7. They played Monday night against the Falcons, lost a close game. That was the last night I had cable.
I can't read what you have there, Davey, but
he's saying bye bye Peterman.
Oh, Peterman, done.
See ya.
Yeah, you knew that was coming soon, and they waited just a little longer than the president waited to get rid of Sessions. Right?
There was some talk about McDermott felt that he didn't want to blast Peterman like they brought in Barkley and started him. And I guess he was very soft with how he handled Peterman because they do feel like he does have some talent. They didn't want to destroy him completely. But, yeah, he's out of Buffalo.
Boy, well, and listen, let's be honest. He spent most of his time running for his life.
Yes.
Let's be just a little bit fair.
And then running after the cornerback who intercepted the ball the other direction.
Yeah. Last night, the Giants played the 49ers in San Francisco, and, of course, a big win right at the end for the Giants. The air quality from the smoke generated by the massive wildfire was an issue. Almost canceled the game.
They were talking during the game, especially in the pregame, that you could see a haze over the field.
By the way, the death toll now is at 41 from those fires. And all sorts of celebrities live out there. Neil Young, his home destroyed. Miley Cyrus. Does she reach the status of celebrity? I'm not really sure, to be honest with you.
At this point. Neil Young's birthday was yesterday.
It was. And on his birthday, he lost his house.
Jeez.
Oh, Neil.
Yeah, not good. Anyway, here's from Monday Night Football last night. This is, and nothing is going to be playing here for me. Don't know why. But also at the beginning of the game, they talked about how the players stood for the national anthem with high school football players and cheerleaders from Paradise, California, most of whom had all lost their homes to wildfires. They are saying that that probably 90% of the homes in that area have been lost to fire.
And you're hearing stories of people dying in their cars, trying to drive away, people dying in their homes. That's
terrible.
It's unbelievable.
Here's some audio. See if this plays. And I'll get to the kneeling in the national anthem in a moment. It's terrible. These fires are just awful. The president has kind of toned down his rhetoric. It was all about mismanagement. If you don't start to figure out how to stop these fires, I'm going to pull your federal funding. By yesterday, he seemed to back off on a lot of that rhetoric. 41 people are dead, so it's probably not the time to be going down that road. Although, man, they got to find a way to stop these fires, right? It's terrible.
Yeah.
And last night during the national anthem, once again, that 49ers cheerleader kneeled during the national anthem. She's been doing it all season long. Let's see. We're going to get into Stan Lee, who passed away. And legendary, right? Just the movies that he has produced. There's just so much that Marvel movies and so much that he's accomplished. He had accomplished. We'll get to that coming up with Tanya J. Powers in just a minute. We'll speak with her. Also, Rachel Sutherland on the Lame Duck Congress, which returns today. And speaking of Congress, the counting in the 22nd Congressional District begins today, right? They're going to start counting the absentee ballots. So today is the date. Am I correct with that? Yes, the 13th. So we then have to wait until the 19th for the military ballots. But who knows? We might know who is the victor prior to the counting of the military ballots.
Yeah.
I did find it kind of interesting, the quotes that were out yesterday. Obviously, the county county sheriffs have had to get involved because they've asked for all those ballots to be impounded. And that's through all the counties throughout the 22nd Congressional District. But I was watching last night on TV, and both candidates had made a statement, Brindisi and Tenney. And Brindisi's was, well, we're trying to get to the bottom of it and make sure all of the votes are counted. And Tenney, it seems like she's either trying to play Rick Scott, a combination of Scott and the president, or she thinks the campaign's still on, like there are people that are still casting their vote because she was still in negative campaign mode. Brindisi is trying to steal the election. He's watching his totals erode away. It's a desperate attempt. I mean, the campaign's over, isn't it?
I think
so. Do
so.
you still have to be like that? It's just my question. I mean, I get it. I mean, at the end of the day, all the votes are going to be counted. I would feel more comfortable knowing that everything is being overseen by the sheriff's departments around the state, around the district. Don't you feel more comfortable with that?
Yeah, but what is the claim that he's trying to steal the election? What's he doing?
It's my point. I mean, he did petition the court, and she's saying he's bringing lawyers in, and I don't know where that would be something that's trying to steal the. But it's the same quote that you're hearing out of Florida. But I'm not sure that's going on here.
What, did they find votes in the old Remsen High School or something?
Well, there was
That's what's going on in Florida,
there was the votes that were found in the Binghamton area. About 3,000 to 4,000 votes there was apparently a problem with it. They explained what it was. There was a problem with one of the machines. And that actually came out in Claudia Tenney's favor by about 60 votes or something like that. But Chads. Are we going to be dealing with Chads up here? I don't know. And if it's close and Brindisi is declared the official winner, will she accept it?
I think so.
You do?
Yeah.
By the quote. Read the quote. My guess is this could go on for a long time. But I could be wrong. Marvel Comics legend Stan Lee died yesterday at the age of 95. He co-created Spider-Man, Iron Man, the X-Men, the Hulk, Thor, the Fantastic Four, Daredevil, Black Panther, and Doctor Strange. He also added a more complex, character-driven approach to comics. Here are some words of wisdom from a recent interview. That is awesome advice, but I'm not sure everyone has that opportunity.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, there are plenty of jobs out there that have to be done, and people come home at the end of the day, and I'm sure they're like, I'm not having fun. And I haven't had the opportunity, but I do get what he's saying. He's absolutely right. If you can love your job, then it's not, if you feel like you're just going out and having fun. Stan Lee did a promo for Netflix, the show The Defenders, last year, and talked about what it means to be a hero. Yeah, Stan Lee dead at the age of, 95?
Yes.
By the way, watching TV on Amazon Prime, there is a new series featuring Julia Roberts called Homecoming.
Okay.
You have to see this. And I have to tell you, I'm somebody who likes House of Cards. Boy, the beginning House of Cards was just, you couldn't miss it. And then Orange is the New Black. Wow, you just couldn't miss it. I easily now miss it after 4 or 5 seasons. There's some others, right? Some really great series that you're like, I can't miss this. And this is one of those. This is the first time in a while I've had one where I can say, holy cow, this is awesome. And it's
Sopranos?
I would not know that I'm not sure I could give anything to the level of Sopranos.
Okay.
But it's
just trying to gauge where you're at.
It is. I would put it at the level of a House of Cards. I mean, it's that good.
Okay.
The original House of Cards.
And this is on Amazon Prime? I thought
It's on
Netflix.
Amazon Prime. It's something you could get if you became a Prime member or if you know someone. It's pretty easy. Anyway, it features Julia Roberts, and the whole concept is she works for this company that is helping those who have gone off to war come home and come back to a normal life. So, yet it's twisted, and they're doing something really, really bad. That's all I want. I don't want to give it. I feel like if I say anything else, I'm giving something away. So I don't want to. I don't want to give anything away. But if you get a chance, it's on Amazon Prime. Look it up on the web. It's called Homecoming. It's Julia Roberts, who's awesome in this series, and you should check it out. We are 9 days. Is that right? 7, 8, 9 days from Thanksgiving. Hard to believe. Snow on the ground. The snow coming down. We do have some school delays we'll get to coming up this morning. It's way too early for this, but it is coming down. Rachel Sutherland is standing by right now. The lame duck Congress is heading back. Rachel, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, and they're going to try to get stuff done. The White House is hoping for immigration. That's probably unlikely, though, considering that last year that they tried and they got very, very close with what was it, the Gang of Eight, and they weren't able to get it done. But the White House is hoping for comprehensive immigration reform that would include some bars on asylum claims, like has been done in the president's proclamation, which is now in effect. But there's other stuff that needs to get done. Democrats are looking towards Nancy Pelosi for possibly taking the gavel in 2019, and they'll need to talk about that. And they're energized and excited, and probably not in the mood to fund the wall.
Right, probably not. And it is interesting how including in this district, how so many the new congressional candidates from the Democrat side campaigned against Pelosi as they were running for office, and now it looks like all of those that might have been considering competition seem to be disappearing right now.
That's right. There doesn't seem to be anybody really challenging Nancy Pelosi. It appears that she, unless someone steps forward in the next month or so, she will probably be the next Speaker of the House. But yeah, a lot of folks running against her, and the makeup of Congress is going to be very different, as we've discussed. More than 100 women going, more progressives. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has talked about possibly setting up some kind of a progressive bloc in much the way the Freedom Caucus is on the conservative side. Whether or not that'll happen, who knows? But they're organizing.
Going to be very interesting, and boy, if they come in with some sort of a progressive Tea Party, if you will, wouldn't that
like
be
the flip side?
Yeah, wouldn't that be something? Wow! All right, Rachel, thanks so much. We appreciate it. Rachel Sutherland from Fox News. Coming up, we'll talk to Peter, not Gabriel, but Franklin. Coming up. You look like you want to say something.
No, I'm sorry. I was just enjoying. You were a little flustered here this morning.
Yeah, I am. I'm looking at the frustration on Andrew's face. It's the first snowfall, and he's going nuts over here.
You said I had no poker face. Come on.
Passenger aboard a Holland America cruise line has died after falling into the sea from a tender platform during rough waters. A 70-year-old woman.
Oh, my goodness.
She passed away at 1:30. Back just a couple of days ago, November 7th. The woman was still conscious when she was pulled from the waters off the Cook Islands. She then lost consciousness on the platform and could not be revived by medical staff at the scene. So this was one of those boats where they will, and apparently they do this where they can't do a normal docking. They have a tender boat, so it's a tender, which takes you from the cruise ship to land. It's a much smaller boat. And in the rough water, she fell into the water. Must be the shock of falling into the water. They got her back up, and she was conscious, but then she died.
Yeah, it does seem peculiar to me that she survived the fall and the time in the water. Then they got her on board, and then she passed out.
Yeah, and then she was done. When I first originally saw the story, I have to be honest, I thought she fell off the cruise ship, which does happen.
Which she survived that?
Which does happen, by the way. And how did they get her pulled back in and all of that? But that was not really the case here. Do you know the L.A. Rams have a play called a Halle Berry?
What is it? Is there a description of what the play is?
I think it's kind of like a Hail Mary, right? Is it? Here's audio.
Oh, okay.
Did you hear it? Halle Berry. Yeah, okay. Woman, Andrew just had this story. A 43-year-old woman in Texas celebrated her divorce on Saturday night by blowing up her wedding dress. She'd been married for 14 years, and the divorce was finalized on Friday.
Go, Kim, go! 3, 2, 1.
Oh, my God.
That's a little more of a blow-up than I expected. But the first What the heck?
That sounds like Kim Jong-un destroyed the wedding dress or something.
It kind of sounds like some sort of a nuclear
It's
device.
like an air raid that should be coming off or something.
10-year-old girl was walking with her friend near a park in Arizona last Wednesday when a guy in an SUV pulled up, gave her a story about how her brother needed help, and asked her to get in. So the girl quickly asked him, "What's the code word?" Ooh. A method she and her family had come up with for people she is and isn't allowed to get in the car with. The guy didn't know it, so he sped off. Cops are still searching for him.
Wow.
My daughter called me in tears, crying, upset. She told me that some guy tried to take her. We actually just came up with it a few months ago. So it was something real recent from a story that I read that reminded me from when I was little and we had a code word. And we just talked about people that can pick you up and people who can't pick you up. And in that crazy emergency, it saved my daughter's life.
That's pretty big.
Yeah.
I mean, people should think about having such a thing. Not sure if you feel like you'd ever need it, but, boy, if you do, wow. Since Miller
Did you have code words? I'm sorry. Do you have?
No.
No.
Because
this.
My father's was stupid.
Just hearing this
okay,
story.
That's my dad.
My mom just knew that nobody would ever want to kidnap me.
Yeah.
It just makes me wonder, do I need a code word set up with the little guy?
I want to think about it. Since Miller High Life is the champagne of beers, over the holidays, they're releasing it over the holidays in gold champagne bottles. Miller High Life.
But it's still just beer?
It's still just beer.
Oh, okay.
It's the champagne of beers, though, for $3.49. They've done it before, but only in Chicago and Milwaukee. This time they're going nationwide. Well, there you go.
Okay.
It's an oldie goldie right there. And a guy in Australia poured lighter fluid on his mom's grill last week, even though there was already a good fire going. The gas then caught fire. The gas and the gas can then caught fire, so he threw it and started a fire in the yard. Luckily, everybody's okay, but he does it. You can hear the whole thing happen, and the fire extinguisher, here's audio.
I feel like someone would need to get a fire extinguisher. That goes to help for my car. Yeah. Oh!
It's the only reason I played that clip. It was her reaction, but the things that come around YouTube and catch my attention. Anyway, that's probably, they're saying that all it took of what's going on out in California was just a little, there might even have been an electrical fire that caused all of this devastation. But think about it. In this township, 90% of the homes are gone, and 41 people as of today have been found dead. It's really just a huge tragedy. We'll go to New York City with Peter Franklin, the Gabby Cabby, coming up. We'll also update the school delays this morning. There are a handful of them because of the slippery conditions. It is snowing. Quick update on the delays here this morning. You can always download our app, and they'll be sent right to your phone. And they're available right now. But for those that don't have the app already installed, just simply search WIBX 950 in Google Play or in the App Store. Here are the delays that we have this morning because of snow.
Yeah. 2-hour delays for Dowdgeville, Holland Patton, Oppenheim, Euphrates, St. Johnsville, Poland, Remsen, Sequoia, and Waterville, all on a 2-hour delay.
Peter Franklin is the Gabby Cabby in New York City. And listen, Angelo, there's a gigantic bug on my screen here. Could you just get rid of it for me?
Gently.
Yeah, don't squash it, but holy, it's following the mouse, the stinking cursor around. That thing is enormous.
Ho.
Oh, Peter Franklin.
We're all distracted. Sorry, Peter.
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.
Thank you for that, Angelo.
Not down there. Christmas in New York City already?
It is amazing. Like, Christmas music is already on the radio. The Rockefeller tree is going up. All of this stuff, right?
Well, the thing with the tree, every year I say the exact same thing. So here you are. You live someplace upstate New York, and you got a beautiful tree sitting in your backyard that's been there since the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren and the great-great-grand. Yeah, it's been in the family for 200 years. And you cut it down. I mean, what are you, nuts or something?
Yeah.
And then sell it to Rockefeller Center, which is exactly what they did again this year. And they're making a point that this year's tree comes from Wallkill, New York. Well, excuse this urban New Yorker, but I don't even have the clue as to where Wallkill is. Is that any place near you guys?
It is actually in, I believe it's in Orange County, which would be right on the, right near the border of Pennsylvania. So it's really southern upstate New York.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. I mean, anybody's coming down here, and remember, don't come here by car, come by train. or bus because the cars is like a zoo. It's wonderful to go to Rockefeller Center. It's a beautiful ice skating rink. The tree is all decorated. So, it's really nice. The person that I'm attacking is the guy that owned the tree. If I had a tree like that, there's no way I was going to cut it down and give it off.
The thing is, it's like 70 feet tall, right? I mean, it's a huge tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe they don't like the needles. When those trees shed the needles, it's just a mess.
They don't pay either. Like the
They
Rockefeller.
pay for it.
Oh, they do pay for
Well,
it.
they don't talk about it. They must.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's sort of like a well-kept secret. How much did they pay for it? What did the people get for it?
Yeah.
I find. I mean, if I think it was stupid for them to cut down the tree, if they did it for nothing, that's even more stupid.
Not only is it Christmas time in New York, but I'm seeing that there's a whole new big Disney exhibit that's coming to New York City, right?
I'm not working as their sales promotion manager, but I mean, from everything I've read about it, it's going to be absolutely fantastic, and it's just another reason to come to my little tourist attraction because it's going to be really good. It's on already. It started, and it's going to run up till February. And it has all kinds of stuff like Mickey Mouse and this, that, and the other thing. As a matter of fact, on my website this week, Gabby.com, I put a cute little cartoon that they're using. So if anybody wants to take a look at it, it's kind of neat. It is.
Really is. It's like the 90th anniversary of Mickey Mouse, right? And that's what this is
it is,
all
and
about.
it's really, it's really kind of neat. So I highly recommend it. It's way up on my list.
Whenever I think Disney, I think lines that go through mazes and around and around and over and then over to the other side and then coming all the way looping around, and the lines that go like 90 minutes. Hopefully it won't be that long.
Well, the way you beat that in the Big Apple is if you're going to go to something by appointment, let's say the Empire State Building or the World Trade Center, you find out when it opens up, when it starts. So, for instance, the Mickey thing starts at 10 o'clock. If I was going to go to it, I'd be there at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Which means you're going to have a line, but at least you're going to be first on line, and it's the way to beat it.
Yeah.
It's the only way to do it.
Surveillance cameras in New York City. Chances are, no matter what happens in New York, there's a camera on you, right?
Absolutely, and they've upped it now to facial recognition. Talk about James Bond. Up to this point, they've been installing cameras like crazy, that if you go through a red light, it takes a picture of your license plate, and you get a bill for $50. And you got to pay it because there's the picture of you going through the red light. And the interesting thing about it is normally, if a cop caught you going through the red light, you'd get a ticket, and it would be more than $50, and it would be on your license. This is just a cash and carry thing. I mean, it's a great income producer for the city. You send in the $50. You don't get any points. I don't know if Albany knows this yet, but you pay the $50. And so what they're finding, of course, is most people, rather than to fight it or carry on, you're going to lose anyway, pay the $50. So you figure at least once a month you're going to get a ticket for going through the red light. You got to really stop before you get to the yellow in New York. You really do.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, the one thing that where you're better off with this camera, if you get stopped in New York City, this is another reason why you shouldn't drive in New York. And I knew this happened to a friend of mine. He was stopped in New York and didn't realize, but he had a suspended license.
Oh, boy.
And he was detained.
Oh, yeah.
They'll put you in jail. And then you got to wait through a pretty big system. So you're might be better not to drive in New York. Or make sure you have a driver's license that's current. What is a rabbinical gathering?
Is that the greatest picture you've ever seen in your life?
That's incredible.
It was a big in Crown Heights in Brooklyn, which is a very Jewish area. They have the Lubavitch sect. That's the ECT of Jewish life, and they have an international conference, and they have literally hundreds and hundreds of rabbis in that picture that you can see on the website. Yeah. And the reason I put it there is because every time I look at it, I don't know why, but I think of Mel Brooks.
Right. It'd be kind of like a little something you'd see out of
doesn't it look like
Mel
a scene
Brooks?
from a Mel Brooks movie?
Yeah, you totally would see that. But this was the world's largest gathering of rabbis, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And by the way, that wasn't an anti-Semitic remark. And don't anybody start writing bill letters.
Yes.
It's just, that's what I think. I see 1,000 rabbis, I think of Mel Brooks. That's my thing, my shtick.
Or B&H, the electronics place in New York City, which I love going to, by the way. But that place is almost every employee there is a Hasidic Jew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's part of the culture, and in many ways, it's something that Mel Brooks made famous, along with Nazis, come to think of it.
All right, anything? And I'm back to the camera story where everything is on camera.
Yeah, and also, but now they're doing facial recognition.
Right.
I mean, it's really spooky.
Well, and that's
I don't
what-
have any particular problem with it because anything we can do to get the bad guys off the street. But that means when you're walking through Grand Central Terminal or maybe on 59th Street and Fifth Avenue or something, chances are that the camera is not only taking a picture of you, they're running a facial recognition. I mean, talk about science fiction.
Yeah.
But, some people would start screaming that's a violation of your liberty and blah, blah, blah. No, it isn't. It's no big deal. I mean, I think the best way to avoid trouble in life is don't stick up banks.
All right. But I would say I wonder why they didn't get, what's his name down there when he punched the guy over the parking place. Because there's not a real shot of what?
Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin. There's not a real shot of Alec Baldwin punching the guy. He says he didn't do it.
Yeah, but that just happened because, it was a situation, there's always some guy there with an iPhone who takes a picture of something or other. I don't think he really hit the guy, and the reason for that is the newspaper said that when the reporters went up to the guy's house in Rockland County, he's a suburbanite, he said, number one, he didn't know who Baldwin is, which I don't believe, and number two, the reporter said that there wasn't a scar or a mark on his face.
Okay.
So I think it's a little bit of an embellishment.
All right. Well, listen, we always get the scoop from you, Peter.
You got the scoop. That's what I am. They call me the scoop.
The scoop. Best tour in New York City. Go to Gabby.com for details. We'll do it again next week. Peter, thanks so much.
You got it, sweetheart. Everybody have a great day.
All right. Peter Franklin, the Gabby Cabbie. All right. Coming up next hour, a member of the No Downtown Hospital group says, I've had it. And he's done. We'll find out why coming up. Hard to believe it's snowing out. It's not Thanksgiving, but we are talking about America's Greatest Heart Run and Walk, and this year is a special year, right?
Yes, it is. It's our 45th anniversary.
45th anniversary. Steve Gassner is the logistical chairman of America's Greatest Heart Run and Walk. And what's going on? Today, tomorrow, and Thursday, it's an early bird special, if you will.
Yes, what it is, it's kind of an open house, if you want to call it that. What we have extended hours. We're going to be open from 8:30 in the morning till 7 to allow friends and families and teams to come in and get their team packets, get to know the staff a little bit. The staff is going to be available to help them with their fundraising goals and anything that they need. So it's going to be a good time. So if you're thinking about doing it and you haven't done it in the past, this is the time to stop in and get to know us. If you've done it in the past and it's been a little while, or if you've been doing it right along.
Yeah.
You can get
I think this would be a good time because you get family coming home,
absolutely,
friends coming home, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. You get to hit them up.
Exactly. That's why we decided to do it, because the holidays are coming up, and that's when you see everybody.
I like it.
It's great too because you get to also if your family's out of town and they don't typically participate in this event, this is an opportunity to book a reservation basically for some more family time in the spring. Or at the end of winter, I should say.
Okay, so you're in the business park, right?
Yes, 125 Business Park Drive.
All right, that's Suite 106.
You got it.
It is today, tomorrow, and Thursday. Correct. Your extended hours are what?
They're going to be till 7 o'clock at night. So 8:30 in the morning till 7.
All right. So come on out. The 45th anniversary of America's Greatest Heart Run and Walk. Time. Awesome. How are the roads out there, by the way?
It's not too bad in the city.
Higher elevations.
Higher
where they've gotten it.
We talk about this each year during the Radiothon, but it's something worth noting here that our Radiothon is actually older than the Heart Run and Walk.
It is.
I think we're approaching year 47, 48.
I think it's 48.
48, yeah. And this will be the 45th year of the Run Walk. So
pretty big.
It is.
And bigger every year, it seems.
Central New York holiday, I call it.
And think of it over the years, you can definitely remember snow. Was it last year we got hit with the big snowstorm?
Actually,
the night before.
Yeah, it was the night before. We were digging people out.
Yeah,
right.
And then it snowed during the day, during the radio that first day of the expo.
Yeah, that Friday morning was rough.
Friday. Everyone says the day before, but it was that Friday when we got
for us. That's the day.
That's the worst day. Yeah.
And then 2 years ago it was like
very cold,
freezing.
It was freezing cold. Yeah.
But I do have to say, last year as much snow as we got, the DOT they cleaned up the routes. Really, I mean, it actually was a very nice day for the event.
75 and sunny this year.
Okay, I'm holding you to that.
Yeah, I'm telling you. All right, got a break. Hold on. 7-Eleven. We're going to get into the downtown hospital. We're going to get into the downtown hospital group. We have a member of that group who has said, And this would be, I would call, a substantial member. Would you agree with that?
I'd say so.
It's decided, I'm done. I'm upset, I'm done. We'll tell you why coming up. Also, Chief Brooks is coming right in on WIBX. How are the roads out there, Chief? Everything okay? We're doing all right? Fair. Fair to not so partly cloudy. Yeah.
Be cautious.
I don't like the snow. But there are a lot of people that love it. There are a lot of people that love it.
Yeah.
I'm not a skier or a snowboarder, so
I have to say,
I love to shovel. I really do.
As someone
I love it.
who hates the snow, because I'm definitely not a fan of the snow. I will say there's something very pretty and peaceful about it when it first falls and the ground looks like it's all nice and clean.
Yeah, pictures.
But then it gets all muddy and nasty.
I never saw the sensitive side of you before. So,
thank you, Chief. The other thing is, and this is more.
He plays a harp. Well, you didn't know that he's a harp player, a harpist.
The other thing is, my son actually has fun in it, so we go outside and play in that a little bit.
That'll get old. It's awesome. It's really something I love. Really love it. By the way, yesterday for me it was leaves because it's your last chance.
Too.
You got to get those. God, there's just so many of them.
Again, this underscores the mess that it makes now that the
snow
leaf piles are covered in snow. And imagine if we got accumulating like a foot of snow.
Like, it doesn't go away.
Somebody got
17 inches, and it's just out near the Buffalo area.
I mean, how do you plow the roads? You plow the side of the road. It's going to kick
the
up all the leaves
up on the curb. But I was chatting with Dave Short yesterday. He's my neighbor. And he said they're going to be picking up leaves till December.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good.
So it's still leaf it to the curb then, I guess?
No, like you said, if there's a foot of snow, I've seen this happen. The leaves get pushed up on the
I have two neighbors. Both have the coolest devices. One, they pull along the behind of their garden tractor, and it's like and it's just this device that just picks up the leaves.
Really?
Coolest thing.
Wow.
And it shoots them, or it just vacuums them up?
It almost has like a rotating thing that swoops them right up into the container.
Big yard?
It's a big yard. And then the other is he has this pushing device, and it's a blower, and you just keep going across a line. You come back and you go and you reverse it. It completely blows every leaf out of his yard.
Into neighbors.
Right into mine. No,
Bill's got a rake.
It's not true.
I mean, I did mine yesterday with a lawnmower.
I like that too.
Kind of and bag it, and it picked up every leaf on the lawn.
Yeah.
It was clean for about an hour. It was.
It looked really good.
I was proud.
That's right. For just about an hour.
Yeah.
All right. So after this snow, you've got to be thinking that most of the leaves are going to be pretty much everything will be gone. Chief Brooks.
Is there any good news or?
I don't know that I have any good news. We have elections being contested. We have craziness out there right now.
I'm waiting for the Indian summer. I still have outdoor work to do.
I know.
You're right. That's coming.
You know it could be 80
70
next month
degrees.
anyway.
It could be.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We're just a little bit away from Thanksgiving, and tell us what you're up to here.
You know, this has been an annual event for the Utica Food Pantry. You know, and the Utica Food Pantry gives food and feeds everyone in the city. It's we feed refugees, we feed these psych patients, which there are many of, the needy in the city, many veterans, just everyone. And we started about 5 years ago giving a turkey to all of our clients that come in the food bank. And last year we gave out well over 500 turkeys.
Wow.
And I mean, we start the giveaway, and we do it at Central Fire Station. We start the giveaway at 10 o'clock. And when I would get to work at 7:30, there would be a line down Bleecker Street.
Wow. Yeah.
And people have been asking this year, which they do every year. They start asking in the summer.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a Thanksgiving turkey? And it's meaningful. I mean, there's many organizations that prepare turkey dinners, and they do a great job, and people go. But there's some people that want to have this, their dinner at home. And I can recall this little girl saying to her mom when we were giving her a turkey, Mom, we're going to eat at home this year?
Yeah, that's cool.
We're going to cook this in our house, and then we're going to eat it at home.
Because that's what you see.
And she couldn't believe it.
On TV, you see it every commercial is the family sitting around the table and the Christmas tree, and it's Thanksgiving, and everybody's happy.
You know, people are very, very appreciative. But what we do is the Utica Food Pantry acts as like the middleman. Obviously, over half the residents in Utica live below the poverty limit. You know, I don't know if people realize that, that don't live like that. And we ask the others to donate a turkey to give to those people. And we ask the citizens, obviously, which many, many do, and organization or churches or whatever, you know, to donate a turkey to give to that. And I got to believe when they sit down, as you described, with their families on Thanksgiving, and they're knowing that they provided dinner for someone that was less fortunate or more than one family, that's got to be meaningful, that Thanksgiving doesn't just become eating turkey and overeating, which
we all do. It seems. How can people give?
They can, obviously, we're asking for turkeys, but we're also asking for, you know, monetary donations. Now, I've already had people bringing turkeys to my house. You know. So they're
not live, I hope.
No, they're not live. They're frozen. And I'll also say that this grocery store is storing and freezing them for us.
Nice.
So I'll bring them down there. But they can bring them to Central Fire Station in Utica. They can bring them to the food pantry at 729 Broadway Street. Or if they were not desperate, but if they wanted someone to pick them up, they could put in a call and pick them up.
Somebody pick them up.
Yeah, right. And I just want to say this too: that there's no one on staff that gets paid. Okay, every donation goes right to, providing food for the needy, and everything stays right here in the community.
Taking care of people.
So
here.
It's
awesome.
And I view the food being the primary need.
Yep. You know. All right, It's that time. Turkeys.
Thank you, guys.
Before we know it, it'll be our Christmas show, and I'm hoping you're going to be in here for that.
If I get an invitation,
you will.
Always,
and then you'll be announcing your run for mayor right after the first of the year. I mean, this is all exciting times.
You're always a couple steps ahead of me.
I am a little bit. Yes, I am. I apologize for that. But all right, Chief.
The mayor of Clearwater, Florida
might be.
Wow.
Certainly a lot warmer there, I have to tell you. Chief Brooks, thank you as always.
Thank you, guys. God bless you. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks so much. 7:25. Update on the hospital and some other stuff. And then a member of the No Hospital Downtown group says he's fed up and he's done. He's leaving the group, and we'll get to that. Coming up at WIBX. The snow has come down, and we're in a winter weather advisory right on through till about 11 o'clock this morning. So some of the higher elevations got hit a little worse. It's been snowing there for a while, and we will get you an update coming up. John Swan is in studio right now with the Community Foundation. This is National Community Foundation Week. And among the things that you guys do, working on really being helpful when it comes to this hospital project, you guys do a whole lot more, right?
Well, even on the front, coincidentally, of today's Observer-Dispatch, there is a big story about one of our recent projects, which is an outgrowth of a commitment to combating childhood lead poisoning. It's called the Green and Healthy Homes Initiative, and it's really going to make a difference in the inner city and in supporting affordable quality housing and fixing the housing that's there, not just for lead, but for a variety of health and environmental concerns.
Asbestos, really difficult to get rid of. And mold is another real
structural
big problem.
problems, weatherization, all kinds of things.
How about the next problem we're all going to face here if we don't do something is water? I mean, they're already struggling with it down in Ilion, right?
Yeah, water quality, of course, is a concern. We're fortunate in this area, though, that we have great assets, natural resources in terms of water supply.
Well, it's the piping that that delivers it that needs to be updated. How do you? So, National Community Foundation Week.
We look on this as an opportunity to reintroduce ourselves to the community and really to remind people. Some people know us. But we've been around a while and we've changed. So community foundations generally are what you might think of as reactive grant makers. You know, people say, oh, my organization got a grant from the community foundation. And we have done that, millions of dollars worth over the many, many years since the 1950s. But in more recent times, we have recognized that the community, although it's coming around and there are lots of bright spots, there continue to be great needs, and we are going to continue to build our assets to invest the community's assets so that we can reinvest them in the community. Just within the last 3 years, our overall endowment, and this sounds like a lot of money, and it is, but it's a lot of money for a community this size and a community foundation. It's gone from about $120 million to $150 million in 3 years.
Wow.
Now, we're not just going to sit on that money. We're going to continue to build that total and continue to invest larger and larger numbers to address problems like healthy housing and education and the arts and culture and, yes, economic development.
You've also partnered on this downtown hospital project to serve as a helping hand, a conduit for
transitioner in some cases.
I guess it's a whole bunch of stuff that you guys are doing to assist here. I want to ask you, I'll get an update, but before that, it seems that each election cycle, a mandate is placed. This is a mandate on the on the hospital, and the No Hospital Downtown group actually did spent some money. We know where that came from. It seems from Brett Truitt's contribution, but spent some money to put anti-hospital people, or at least downtown hospital people, on the ballot. And once again, they seem to have not succeeded. What's your take on that?
Well, you've summed it up very nicely, and I would have to reiterate. I would have to say that as an organization, the Community Foundation is utterly apolitical, and we do not mix politics in any way, shape, or form with the projects or initiatives with which we concern ourselves. Other people seek to do that, and as you know, during campaign season, people run or attempt to run on all kinds of, they want to fix the DMV, they want to fix the hospital.
The rent's too damn high.
All those things, right? And we have no skin in that game,
Fair
no
enough.
stake in that.
I do want to add, though, that Dennis Bova versus Marianne Buttonshaw, Bova was all in on being all out. And to me, one of the really interesting indicators is that he only won one of the districts in the city of Utica. Only one. Everything else went to Marianne Buttonshaw.
Well, the thing to remember about this particular project, like so many with which we involve ourselves, because we don't do anything in isolation. We seek partnerships, and we work in a bipartisan manner with elected officials, duly elected officials. The thing to remember about the hospital is it has widespread, practically unanimous support from state and local elected officials, both parties.
So everything's moving forward. Nothing really new at this point to update us on.
I think you've seen, of course, in the news, the new CEO has been named, which is a giant step forward, and someone with a fine pedigree from outside the area.
I'm told this is someone who has
specific
experience with this sort of thing.
As she herself said, she has specific experience with building a new hospital to replace an existing hospital, which sounds kind of familiar to us here. The other thing that's been in the news of late, in addition to the new CEO, of course, is Pastor Chris Tringali of Turning Point Church has found a new home. That was something behind the scenes with which we were involved because our commitment to the nonprofits and to a lesser extent, but also to some of the businesses in the footprint to help them, to help be a liaison for finding places for them to go. First priority, City of Utica. Second priority, Oneida County. Third priority, in the area, even if it's not region. Within those bounds.
And right now, how many have basically cut deals with MVHS and are moving forward?
The document that they've signed is called a purchase option agreement. It's my understanding that figure of the 35 property owners in the footprint is now approaching 2/3.
Okay, that's a big number, which will play a role in if it goes to, which it probably will, to eminent domain. That plays a role.
And the environmental review is on schedule, is
right.
to be completed by the end of this quarter, I think.
All right, very interesting. And this is National Community Foundation Week, so happy National Community Foundation
Thank you
Week.
so much. Where's my cake?
I believe it's at the Florentine waiting for you. Yeah, it's there.
Thanks for the time.
All right, thank you so much, John Swan. 7:35, our free money question from Hobica coming up. We'll do an update on school delays next to WIBX. Standing by the line right now is Eric in Utica. Eric, good morning.
Good morning, Bill.
Good. You ready to go?
I think so.
Staying topical here this morning, and here is your question. 7 seconds to get the answer in. Stan Lee's sign-off motto is the same as New York's. What is it? Ready, go.
I love New York.
I love New York. Oh, probably not it.
That's probably more a slogan than a motto.
Anybody?
City that never sleeps?
Excelsior.
Oh, get out of here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that's like the governor loves that, you know. Like
Yes.
Excelsior scholarships.
What am I going to give you? Let me go into my stuff. Okay, we're going to give you a jar of bottled It's a Utica Thing Riggy sauce. I think you give away turkey joints and you give away It's a Utica Thing Riggy sauce because nothing sells the area like this. You can wrap it up; it becomes a gift. Now in 6 different flavors: marinade, as they say, original chicken Riggy, veggie Riggy, piggy Riggy, which has bacon in it, vodka Riggy, and roasted garlic Riggy sauce. Available at Price Chopper, Utica Pizza Company. Coming soon to Wegmans, by the way. Pick up a jar today. Also available and there's an enormous display at Chenantries when you go in there. It's like an entire mountain it's bigger than a car of It's a Utica Thing Riggy sauce. So check it out. I'm going to give you a bottle, and you can pick it up here anytime here at the studio, all right?
All right, Bill, thanks.
All right, Eric, thanks, man. Davey's going to hook you up. In studio right now, we've been talking about this throughout the morning. What do I call you? I know you're a printer and you're an artist. What is your Photoshop?
Actually, a writer.
You're a writer.
I'm a writer who also does art.
Ray Jadwick is in here this morning. And, Ray, you've been a part of the anti-downtown hospital group for quite some time. In fact, you have penned a few very interesting cartoons and Photoshop art that is...
So I've heard.
That is, you had me having Anthony Brindisi's baby at one point.
Well, yeah, that's just showing your intimacy with Anthony.
Yes,
over the downtown hospital.
Fair enough.
Project. Anyways, you have a nice gig here.
Well, listen,
by the way, it's the first time I've been here.
It's
good to meet you. You got a nice gig. All 3 of you got nice gigs.
This shows you that opposing sides...
Other than the fact that I work with him, yeah.
Opposing sides can communicate and get along, right?
Sure, I have no problem.
Why are you... you reached out to us and said you've left the No Downtown Hospital group.
Yes, well... Let me just say, I'm fully committed to opposing the project because I think
tried to make that clear earlier.
Yeah, I wanted to make that very clear because it'd be disastrous for Utica to go forward with this corrupt proposal.
Okay,
and there's many sincere people in it. Brett Truitt, Donna Beckett, Joe Serini. I just had a problem with Mr. Jimmy Brock. Yeah.
Okay.
I had a little problem with him. Basically, he does have a little bit of tendency to mix Republican politics with the group. And sometimes...
Are you a Republican?
No, I'm a Democrat.
Okay.
I was very vocal against Anthony Brindisi, but only I thought it was important that he be held accountable for his role in the downtown hospital proposal.
All right.
And so I was totally against him. And so I had a falling out with Jim over the Heath Phillips. We had Heath Phillips as a writing.
So there was
candidate.
The thought was that, and you guys put out a flyer.
We put out a flyer. I spent 3 months, procuring.
I'm assuming you created that flyer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that basically gave people alternatives and
advisement
a
democratic
on who to vote
alternative
for.
is what we wanted to give because I think God himself couldn't come down and convince Democrats to vote for Tenney.
Okay.
I think that was a fact,
Yeah.
And so the best thing we could do to make him accountable is to offer another Democratic candidate.
Okay.
And that's why we offered Heath Phillips. So
and you say that was and not only the policy, but you guys put out a flyer saying
we
just that.
put on a flyer.
Yeah.
I worked 3
That
months.
was the plan.
That was the whole plan.
I also give you credit for you put out a flyer specific to Rome.
Yes.
And it ran in the Rome Sentinel. And another one, the flip sides were different.
Right.
Another one that targeted Utica. So you considered the fact that the people in Rome look at this differently than the people in Utica.
And we also did one in Binghamton.
I didn't know that.
And a full-page ad in the Cortland Standard.
Boy, Brett's money goes quite a ways, quite a distance, right? So.
Well, you have to market it. MBHS is marketing millions of dollars of marketing to try to convince people.
In fairness, though, what do you say that the candidates that you guys really asked people to vote for have now won? It's not completely official in this district.
Brindisi still might be held accountable.
Mm-hmm.
That's not over with. And that was my problem with
so
Jimmy.
What happened?
My problem with Jimmy Brock was the day before the election, he came out. He convinced Heath Phillips to endorse Tenney, which was ridiculous because...
Why would a Democrat endorse a far-right Republican?
Totally insane. He was trying to gain favor with Claudia, obviously. But it backfired because what happens, all the Democrats, I've gotten probably 100 phone calls since the election, all the Democrats who were going to vote for Heath Tenney just went back to Brindisi.
Right.
Because, they're not going to vote for a Trump Republican. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So that was very upsetting that... And Jimmy didn't even talk to me about it first.
So you're saying that Mr. Brock went out and did this without consulting the group?
Without consulting anyone except Heath Phillips and Claudia Tenney. And Claudia disagreed with his decision.
How do you know that?
I spoke to Claudia a few days ago.
So explain that. Tell me how that went down.
Well, pretty much, she disagreed, but he was determined.
She was okay with, so she knew that you guys were going to be going forward with the Heath Phillips endorsement.
She was aware it was pretty public, so there was no way she
and to have a Democrat in there,
right.
she would appreciate that.
But the purpose wasn't to make Tenney win as much as it was to make Brindisi accountable for the disastrous and corrupt hospital proposal. Pretty much. Everybody, you ask where the corruption is in it, and it's pretty clear, and everybody has overlooked it. But the corruption is in the fact that it's actually a front for a casino in downtown Utica. If you look at...
I have to tell you, can I just interrupt you there?
Sure.
A week ago, we had Anthony Pacenti on, who has told us that he's withdrawn that proposal. There will be no casino downtown. It's withdrawn.
Well, that's news to me.
It was news to us, too, by the way.
Where was this announcement made?
This was here.
It was just a conversation on the show. We asked for an update on the
let's
casino.
just get this out of the way. It is unpopular. I've withdrawn the proposal to put a casino downtown.
Oh, well, that's good news.
And maybe it's some of the pressures that you guys
you get the hospital to be withdrawn too.
Well,
it'd be a win-win.
I don't see that happening.
You could have a win-win here.
Yeah,
no casino, no hospital would be wonderful.
Yeah.
I think we agree to disagree on that, but my next question is about Jim Brock.
I disagree on the corruption part too. I don't think it's corrupt.
So we know that
get on mic if you could.
We know that Brett is for it for his reasons. He wants to redevelop that area kind of organically.
Correct.
So do you believe that there's any other what's Brock's reason for his involvement in no hospital downtown, at least the way you understand it?
Well, just to give the people of the neighborhood a voice, because he thought it was a terrible idea in the first place, and they thought they were just going to, ransack over the neighborhood with no opposition. So he wanted to give people, which is a very good thing. I just think he's mixing it up with politics a little much.
Right.
I kind of had a clue. I kind of had something happen when I first joined the group that should have given me a heads up on his tendency to mix the Republican politics with the issues.
That's your big issue.
Downtown.
You don't like that he's bringing Republican politics into this.
Right. I don't think he should. I brought politics into it in the election, but that was in terms of holding people accountable.
Right. You felt it was a strategy that was the best strategy to. And Claudia Tenney agreed with that.
Right.
The best strategy to be able to beat Brindisi would to bring in someone else from the left to give Democrats an alternative to Brindisi.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And that interesting story. When I first joined the group, I did a flyer for a missing flyer, like a missing children's flyer.
Mm-hmm.
Only it had the mayor on it and had the common council on it.
I remember that one.
And that was on the site. And in 24 hours, I opened up the No Hospital Downtown site, and it was gone. And I said, why is the missing flyer gone? So I called up Jimmy Brock. I said, what's going on? Where's my post? And to my shock, he said it was taken down, and it was taken down by the request of Mike Galime, the Republican, Common Council president. And it's like, I thought we were fighting collusion with politicians, and now he's got censorship over no hospital downtown. I found that pretty. They put it back up after I objected, but it was. I should have known at that point that they weren't beyond playing just politics for politics.
So, in your best estimate, who runs? Does Jim run basically no downtown hospital? No
both Jim
hospital
and
downtown?
Brett.
The two of them,
both
basically,
Jim and Brett,
the leaders of the group.
Jim and Brett, and they're both sincere.
I think the sincerity is clear.
I just think he makes it. I think Brindisi should send him a thank you note for having Heath Phillips endorse Tenney.
Yeah.
I mean that was kind of like a.
How many though? I mean, you didn't really believe though that the write-in you'd get that many That was a write-in campaign, right?
Well, the problem is the race was going to be so close. You didn't need that many.
And it is.
I mean, that's the point. It shows. Look at the 1,200 points or something. A difference now. That's not that many points.
It isn't.
We didn't need to have that many Democrats wanting to hold.
And you feel that Brock's move is what has placed Anthony Brindisi. Certainly, I'd rather be Brindisi than Tenney right now. He has an almost 1,300 vote lead.
Right, but there's like 14,000. Yeah, I'd rather be Brindisi at this point.
Basically, what we're talking is pretty much balanced between Republicans and Democrats. Right. It looks like. So one would think that the absentee ballots might come in pretty close, and if that's the case, then
it was
Brindisi
so close
wins.
that the little difference that we might have made.
You believe that move by Brock killed your effort and put Brindisi in?
I think it certainly sabotaged it.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who still voted for Heath, but I know many, many, many people who decided against it after he endorsed Trump Republican.
All right.
What kind, I was promoting him as a Democrat's Democrat. What kind of Democrat's Democrat would promote a Trump Republican?
This to me is a huge exodus that you are, because one of the best, my favorite parts of the No Hospital group was you and the crap that you'd put out. I don't want to call it crap, but
I might be doing one post a week, a weekly roundup, a kind of cartoon. I might do one post. I was thinking about that last night, because I'm still totally against it.
I know you are.
And
so, can I ask what the people who? How do I want to say this?
By the way, you're the first No Hospital downtown group we've had on the air in several weeks.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
All right.
That area that's affected by the demolition and everything. So I know there's existing businesses, but a lot of those buildings are run down, broken down. You think someone's going to come in and just invest a ton of money and fix those up?
Well, I think the rundown buildings are. Everybody focuses on that one block on Columbia Street with the rundown buildings. That's about 3 or 4 buildings on a huge 35-acre neighborhood.
A little bigger a little larger stretch than that. All right. Okay.
I mean, you got the coalition. You've got.
What do you say though to? But I believe that they've already moved. What do you say to the fact that they've got about 2/3 of the businesses down in that footprint have already agreed and cut deals with MVHS? That's a big number.
Well, they've agreed under the threat of eminent domain. I mean,
still though, but they've agreed and they've cut deals. I know there are those that are going to resist,
right? But
that's going to hurt the chances of someone resisting through eminent domain.
Which also means there's 1/3 that haven't, which is
correct.
A pretty substantial number.
But in the eyes of the court, when they look at eminent domain, they really look at the public and the public good. They also look at the number of those businesses that have agreed to move. And if the number is small, fighting with eminent domain, that hurts their cause.
Well, I think even more importantly, they look at, is there a better place to put the hospital?
And you believe there is.
Without a doubt, St. Luke's is a better place to put the hospital. Yeah. They don't, no businesses, no buildings, no buildings have to come off the tax rolls. St. Luke's makes so much more sense. It's crazy how much that it's even being considered.
You know, there are a lot of people, though, that disagree with you there. And
I don't know anybody who has given me a reason why downtown is better than St. Luke's.
Reason. Can I give you a reason?
Yeah, sure.
Transformation of downtown.
Transformation of downtown.
And accessibility to
into
people,
a massive parking lot.
And to people of the city of Utica that are in need of those services that don't have transportation. That's two reasons.
They are. Everybody has transportation. It's just
Right.
everybody lives downtown.
No, I didn't say that.
Well,
Yeah.
it's just as hard to get from Cornhill to St. Luke's or
Okay.
St. E's
All right.
is downtown. So
All right.
that's really. But there's no transformation. The transformation is a disaster. It's turning into 25 acres of parking lot. The building itself only takes 3 acres.
I feel it's going to be. You combine it with the
Hospitals are
odd,
self-contained.
with the Nexus Center that's coming, with the new construction that's going
And
on.
so
All down there, I think it's going to be.
tourism. I don't. Get,
No,
get
I
that
didn't say
at
that.
all.
But it is commerce. It does create commerce.
Well, where's the retail development around St. Luke's right now, or St. E's? It doesn't exist because hospitals are self-contained.
Right.
They have their own cafeterias. They have their own gift shops.
But it's
they have
not a
their
downtown
own
setting, though.
florists.
But it's not in a downtown setting. You wouldn't
Downtown-
have the same type of
They're going to be
development you'd have in a
surrounded by
downtown
25
setting.
acre parking lot. It's not going to be comfortable walking through 25 acres of parking lot. My shop is on Columbia Street,
Mm-hmm.
just on the other side of the arterial bridge. Now, when I walk downtown, when I have to go to the bank and I got to walk downtown, I'm
So
walking through.
is your business in the footprint?
No.
Okay.
But I'll be the first building existing.
Okay.
West, just under the
Got it.
arterial
Okay.
overpass.
Fair
now,
enough.
when I walk downtown, it's an interesting walk. I walk through a neighborhood. I see people. I see employees. What will happen if they tear down all that? I walk through 25 acres of parking lot.
It's not, but it's not going to be 25 acres of parking lot. There's going to be a parking garage, and then there's going to be a road that there are cars, but then there's going to be a walking trail with trees and grass and field and
that's more
vegetation.
upfront.
And it's going to be, so when you're walking from your building down to like Ocean Blue or Hotel Utica, it's just going to be like nice grass, trees. It's not going to be.
Yeah, that's just.
I mean, that's the footprint. That's part of the design.
They need parking spaces. That's what they're going to build. There's going to be There's going to be a couple trees thrown in. There's a couple of trees thrown in around Riverside Mall and at Sangertown too. Do you notice them? No, it's a massive parking lot, and that's what we're going to have there.
All right, Ray.
Can I ask,
we're almost out of time. but
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Feel free.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I wanted to ask about. I lost my question. Go ahead.
And anything else you want to add, Ray?
No, I'm fine. Do you remember the Ray Chadwick blog?
I
When you
do.
were
This
working
goes
with
way
Kurt
back,
Dillon?
right?
It goes way back.
Yeah,
way
I was on Genesee Street in Jim Brock's building at the time.
Oh,
believe
were
it or
you?
not.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And you created a storm back then. You like to get into it a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'd like to get involved in politics.
Yeah.
When
I can tell you I don't agree with you,
I-
but I love your work.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate
You
it.
do
Fair
some
enough.
really great stuff.
Really?
And I plan on keep doing it.
I
All right. Thanks a
would
lot,
not
guys.
expect you to go away by any means.
I won't
so.
be going away.
All right, Ray.
I've
Thanks.
gone away and never left.
Thank you. Got a break. Hugh Jackman was on Colbert last night, told a story about being on the red carpet. Even though he was Wolverine with the fans, everyone was focused on the man who started it all, Stan Lee. Listen to this.
First of all, if you ever want to get a real understanding of where you're at in the world, and you think, oh, I'm Wolverine, I'm walking into Comic-Con, this is my spot, right? This is a good day for me. And I was on a red carpet, and I was the only one on there, and no one was taking my photo because at the other end was Stan Lee. And there was about 300 photographers and interviewers just all on Stan. And I was just like, anyway, Stan, God bless you, you're one of the greats.
Yeah. Here's an interesting story about the wildfires in California. Jeff Bridges was on Kimmel last night, and he told a story about him and his wife, that they were rescued from the wildfires. And you know how he did it? He took a sheet, a white sheet, and wrote SOS on it and hung it up for helicopters to see as they were flying by.
Wow.
And they came out and they got him. Here's audio on that from last night.
You know, we looked out the window, clouds were all red because of all these gas lines were blowing up.
And how much time do you have to get out of that house?
We didn't get out. No, it was dark, pitch black. It's like 3:30 in the morning. I happen to have a little narcolepsy when things get like that. I start to get kind of sleepy.
I do the same thing.
You do the same thing?
Yeah, exactly the
and
same
so
thing.
I'm sitting there.
When things get bad, I get tired.
That's right.
Yeah.
It happens to me.
That's right.
My wife, she loves telling this story. She's so proud of me because I'm taking my nap. She says, "What are we going to do?" And I say, "You got a sheet?" She says, Yeah. I said, "Well." I said, I'm going to go write help on that sheet out there for the
Smart.
She goes, no, it's SOS. It's SOS. I go, okay, good. So I'm sitting out there with it, and I write SOS on the sheet. Yeah, sure enough, here come the helicopters. And the guy said, I wasn't sure if it was 805, the area code, or SOS. I said, well, I got to work.
And my clips are all cutting off today. But from the big Lebowski to the big Lewinsky, what in the hell is she doing?
Oh, great transition. I don't know. Probably the same thing. Not that I'm comparing her to Stormy Daniels, but she's looking to make some money off of this.
Wasn't it just
it was literally like
a month ago, 2 months ago, that she was doing an interview
stage, yeah.
over I think she was in London or somewhere, and they asked questions about the Clinton thing and the blue dress and all that, and she's like, "I'm done." And what else do you want to talk to Monica Lewinsky about?
Well, I have two thoughts on that.
I'm done, and she walked off.
Yeah.
One thing
now
is
she's going to be in a documentary.
She may have known this was coming and didn't want to spill the beans on certain things, and it's possible she told the interviewers, all right, this is off topic.
I think she did say, I can't talk about A, B, and C, and the interviewer asked anyway.
And then she stormed off.
Yeah.
My other thought was, and this is, I think, much less likely but possible, she doesn't want to talk about this stuff for several reasons. Someone got to her and said, are you freaking nuts? Do you see how many books Stormy Daniels is selling right now?
Yeah, you may
Get
be right.
out there and make yourself a buck.
I feel like this has been a story since it happened. You know, at one time it's like she doesn't want to say anything, and she's opening up.
Yeah.
Oh, she's.
She says she would apologize directly to Hillary Clinton for the affair she had with former President Bill Clinton if the two women met. If I were to see Hillary Clinton in person today, quote, I know that I would summon up whatever force I needed to again acknowledge to her sincerely how very sorry I am, she wrote for Vanity Fair. I know I would do this because I have done it in other difficult situations related to 1988. I've also written letters apologizing to others, et cetera, she goes on. But she feels that by doing this documentary that she is going to prevent this from happening to someone else, young female at the White House.
Okay.
I'm not sure the documentary will do it, but it's a pretty noble reason if that's really what she's planning there. Kellyanne Conway, speaking of the Clintons, she's was talking, doing some interviews yesterday and over the weekend, talking about how if Hillary Clinton, and this is out there, that Hillary might run again in 2020. Kellyanne Conway's answer to that was, oh, please do. John Decker from Fox News standing by right now. Good morning, John.
Hey, good morning. Let's make this a short segment. It's not going to happen.
Yes, not going to. You're absolutely right.
I don't think Hillary's going to run again, and I would bet a ton of money on that. I think that she'd be making a huge mistake. She'd be a three-time loser if she ran again.
Yeah.
And no one wants to be that. And so you already see a number of Democrats already indicating that they're thinking about running for president. Some have already prepared trips to Iowa or to New Hampshire, already gearing up for what will take place in 2 years' time. And the president, of course, raising tons of money, prepared for his reelection race in 2020. So, look, I think that it's going to be an interesting race. There's no doubt about it, but I don't think it's going to include Hillary Clinton.
You know, Kellyanne Conway was someone I thought after the comment about what was the facts comment that she made? Do you remember?
Alternate facts.
Those are alternative facts. I thought she'd never survive, but I watched her over the weekend. She's in good standing with the president and continues to be a really great voice for the president when he needs her.
She is. She's a loyal aide to the president. There's no doubt about it. She is perhaps one of, if not the most loyal staffers the president has. You know, if you take Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner out of the mix, she is the most loyal aide to the president. And, you know, she has worked well for the president. I think that she's got a great political mind. You know, when it comes to navigating political strategy, there is no one better than Kellyanne Conway. And, you know, I think that's the reason why, she continues providing that great advice to the president as he gears up for his reelection run.
When I always like to pick your legal mind, if you don't mind.
Sure.
But I want to ask about all of what's going on in Florida, it's going on in Georgia, and other places around the country, including right up here in our own 22nd congressional district, where about 1,300 votes separates the two candidates, the Democrat leading over the incumbent Claudia Tenney. And so attorneys have been brought in. They've impounded the ballots and not just absentee, but everything. The president tweeting out that there's corruption in Florida, even though we don't see any sign of corruption. Attorneys are involved. Isn't this just the legal process? And when attorneys do get involved, aren't we, would you say, better off? Or does that pose a problem for our election system?
Well, you want to make certain, I think the reason why attorneys get involved in these types of things, and the reason why back in 2000 attorneys got involved in Bush v. Gore, is because you want to make certain that every vote that's a legal vote is counted. Yeah. And sometimes you have individuals that are political appointees that want to ignore voter intent, for instance. Remember the whole hanging Chad situation in Florida? Yeah. Look, attorneys play an important role in this process. Will they reverse what happened in Florida? It seems to me that Mr. Scott will likely be the next senator from Florida. I don't think they're going to reverse that. I think that that's the reason why he's already making plans to come up to plan for his transition, being Florida's next senator. I don't know what's going to happen up in your congressional district. Obviously, that's a very tight race. And when you're talking about such small margins, you're talking about looking at every absentee ballot, every provisional ballot, making certain that all of those are counted before this election that you're talking about is certified.
Here we're looking at probably about 17,000 absentee ballots. But the interesting part is, from what we've been told, 43% are 40% are Democrat, 43% are Republican. The remaining are independent. And Brindisi has about a 1,300 vote lead. So chances are that this thing, while she might pick up some, it's a big nut to crack to be able to pick up that 1,300 votes.
It is, and it's. I always say it's better to be ahead, right? When they're doing the recount, it's better to be the person that going into the recount is ahead in the vote count, the unofficial vote count. That was certainly the case in Arizona, which is now going to be represented by a woman for the first time, being represented by a Democrat for the first time since the 1990s. It's pretty remarkable what's happened in Arizona.
And there's a race that was so tight that did flip, right? I mean,
it did. That was Jeff Flake's seat, and of course he retired. If he had run, would he have won? I don't know, especially when you consider the way that President Trump was trashing him, over the course of the past 2 years. It's difficult when the president, who is a member of your own party, is not supporting you.
John Decker, as always, a wealth of information. We really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on today, and have a great day.
You too. Thanks so much. We're having a great day with snow on the ground. It's just glorious.
Wonderful. And
let me tell you, when we're looking at a high tomorrow, maybe not even reaching 30, a lot of melting has to go on today for this snow to be gone quickly. It might hang around for a few days. Can they vacuum up the leaves with snow?
If it's a wet, dry vac, sure.
I hope it is. A lot of leaves out there. I like to have a narrow path going down my street. It's like a tiny little nick because everybody's got their leaves out. And,
And so do they have like the big giant-sized vacuum that rolls around and scoops them up?
Yeah.
That's why you asked. Yeah.
It's an enormous. I mean, they could bring me up into it.
We don't have that.
Suck me right up.
Pretty sure we don't have that. New York Wheels, they rake them to the road, and then the guys use like
a dump, like a little shovel truck or whatever you call that. Yeah. Senator Joe Griffo is in. I really want to get into this. A story we've really has been overshadowed by everything going on after the election last week, and that is that the fear is here. Republicans have lost control of the New York State Senate, meaning now that instead of being in the majority, Senator Joe Griffo is now a member of the minority. Senator Joe Griffo has been talking about for a long time that be careful, the Republicans, which have always upstate been able to hold on to the New York State Senate, if they lose it, New York is going to pot, and we mean literally. So, right? I mean, let's be honest. I don't know how marijuana doesn't get passed. Recreational in New York State, now that you guys have lost control of the Senate.
Well, it is 6:30 in Boise, by the way.
Yeah.
So that is good. This is going to be interesting. We talked a lot on the air before about what does it mean. I think divided government is good. It's been proven in New York to work. There are checks and balances as a result of that. And when you see a potentially one-party control, one region domination, it's becomes more challenging and could be problematic. So relative to an agenda, yes, you are going to see a change in positioning. Now, there's going to be 15 new members to this new majority. How they will all interact yet remains to be determined. A couple of them are avowed socialists. The one from the Bronx or Brooklyn, down in that area, who said she definitely has this type of an agenda, like Ocasio-Cortez, who won the congressional seat. So it'll be interesting as to where and how their leadership puts this together. So it's going to be a challenge even for their leadership. Their leader will come from Westchester County, which is obviously a suburb of the city. I think the biggest concern right now is, if I look at this, you look at it from three basic areas that I always kind of expressed my my desire to hopefully continue to see balance in government, and it results from, first, geography. I mean, because you will have now a real domination. I've showed you this in a pictorial, really, where everybody now will be from the city and the Hudson Valley, basically, all of the conference, outside of two or three members up here. So that makes it much more difficult for them to say, hey, we need help and assistance and attention here. Secondly, it's political, and you saw the types of corruption that we've seen. You need to have that type of check and balance. And in this case, the Attorney General basically was handpicked by the governor. She won decisively. She's a public advocate in New York City, and I see now they're even looking at eliminating that position. I think that's a wise move, because nobody really knows what they do down there, and that's when you talk about this proliferation of government. But in this case, you need independent officers, and you need those checks and balances. So now, for instance, if we feel there's something wrong from a policy perspective, for instance, when you had recently the conditional pardons of 37,000 felons, again, we weren't saying that we disagreed with the opportunity eventually for them to get their privilege to vote again. What we said is fulfill your terms and conditions before you do that. The governor commuted that. So my point is, we now, in a minority, do not have the ability to call a hearing on that. So now you have one-party control, one region domination, and then finally it goes to the policy. What you've said, there'll be a number of issues that they've talked about. I have something here that says Mayor de Blasio sees opportunity for his Albany dreams. That is a little scary right now, when you think of that. He obviously has a job to do to promote the city. And a lot of people talk about, well, we should split into, you're going to see more of this division and secessionist type talk. We should split into several different states. That's not going to work economically. I do have a proposal that could work to bring balance, similar to our federal model, where the assembly is based on population. The Senate would go down to 62 members, and every county would have a senator. That would bring immediate political and geographic balance. But, I mean, those are the kind of things that you see that could be happening, whether it's universal health care, marijuana legalization, early voting, stronger gun control laws, further abortion rights.
Why are you against early voting? What's bad about early voting? I'll tell you why I'm
against early voting right now. I actually sponsored a bill that would give you a means to accomplish something similar, where you could vote early, and that would be no excuse absentee balloting. Right now, when you request an absentee ballot, you have to give reasons for that. So under my bill, you would have no excuse. You could vote, and that is a form and a method of early voting. What I don't like about early voting right now is take the Alabama situation, where something transpires in the last 7 days of a campaign, and all of a sudden people are saying, I want my vote
with you
back.
100%. I was arguing with somebody just about this before Election Day, about early voting, that I would never, while I'm not necessarily against it, I would never vote early, because if the night before, the candidate I was going to vote for gets caught with a prostitute and cocaine all over his face, then I don't want to have voted for that person.
Yeah, I think that's, to me, and what you're seeing in Florida today is probably the greatest concern I have. The integrity of our voting system is the essence of our democracy. And we have never had a problem in our country, despite even in 2000 when you had that situation and had to go to the Supreme Court. People always believe in our country that, there are occasional problems, and there is even some issues, if you remember the old Cook County in Chicago and dead people voting. So there's going to be some elements of that. I mean, nobody's perfect, but overall, through time, we have never questioned the ability of our nation to be able to conduct a fair election, and that the votes that are cast are actually reflective of who the winner and the victor is.
Right.
And I think now I'm beginning to get some concerns, and you're seeing that in Florida right now.
I don't think so.
The lady can't tell you how many ballots are.
I understand that, but that's why you got to
to
bring. That's why having the attorneys coming in on both sides and allowing a judge to sit in, I believe, is important.
Well, that's an important part. Again, an important part of our government, right?
Yeah. Clearly, incompetence. There's plenty of incompetence out there. But I don't know that this woman, based on the interviews I've seen and the stuff that I've seen, I don't think she's corrupt. I think she's incompetent.
Well, separation of powers is important. There's a role for the judiciary in that regard. And again, that's the essence of our democracy.
What is it with Broward County, though? They just can't seem to figure it out. It's crazy, isn't it?
Well, some of that goes to these type of things, though, when you start talking about same-day registration. Imagine what a nightmare that would be, to just go register and never to know, is this person legitimate, and how do we authenticate that? So to me, why would you in any way, we want to make it easier. But on the other hand, this is a responsibility we all have as citizens. We should exercise that responsibility. Yeah. It's a privilege given to us. It's the essence of our democracy.
Isn't early voting more expensive, too? I mean, think about all the resources that you spend on the one day.
Absolutely. There's great cost involved in that. Look,
but is it bad? And I know, and I understand. Let's uncover, let's peel back the real reason people don't want easy voting. I'll call it easy voting. And that is because we like it just the way it is. We know who's going to vote. And when you make it easier, people who don't normally vote. That's the real reason.
But we've made it easier.
And it changes the advantage where these guys have been able to gerrymander and create these districts.
But, Bill, you've made it easier in the sense that you can register a lot easier. You can register just when you go and get your license.
I get all that. Yeah,
I mean, that's what we need to do, those type of things. Access, polling places are easier. Now, can we change the day or the hours, things of that nature? Those are things to look at.
I guess I'm just saying if it was easier, even easier yet, what would be wrong with that?
But
and the only thing would be wrong with that is
fraud and abuse would be wrong with that.
I
There's
disagree.
The potential, how can you disagree?
I
There's
do.
potential for more fraud and abuse. What else can you do?
I guess.
What else can you do to make it easier, though? And set, like, for instance, same-day registration.
I want to be able to vote from my cable TV remote.
So there, to me, remains a problem now where people can be able to hack the system.
I get it.
And I don't want to take that risk right now. I want you to be able to go and cast your ballot. It's not a hard thing to do. It's really not a hard thing to do.
I get it. I vote every time. I never miss a vote. But some people are stupid, Joe. And those are the people we don't want voting. I mean, I'm just saying that's the hidden little reason why we don't want to make it simple and easy. You could do it from a cell phone or something, in my opinion.
I think it's more, again, that you could have potential problems with technology.
Can I just give you an
That's
example?
why I like our scanners, because you have both the technology but also the paper trail if you need it.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to the idea of early voting, but, like, for instance, if you gave someone, you said there's no reason absentee.
Correct.
So say my grandparents are elderly, they submit for a no reason absentee ballot. They each get one, but then at home, I'm the one who fills it out, and I vote all the party line that I like. The two of them actually don't get a say, and instead I get 3 votes.
Listen, I walked my son into the voting booth this year, and I'm like, you're voting for these people. Happens all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
and dad or mom is like, okay, this is who we're voting for. Now, my son did get to vote. I gave him 1. I'm kidding. Still.
You're not kidding.
Still.
I know you are kidding.
You are absolutely not filling in that bubble. There'll be no dinner at home. You won't eat
out of the house
a week. Out. Get out.
So no excuse absentee balloting does allow that opportunity, Bill, though, so you don't have to go in. You can vote at home. And, yes, there are risks there, Jeff, as you indicated, but that's within a family, too. Hopefully it's not somebody.
My phone won't open without my face.
I still think,
and with technology coming. But keep in mind, Democrats will fight that, too, because they're saying, it's an ID. We shouldn't have any voter ID.
Yeah.
It's just a big mess. I got to break, but we'll come back, and let's switch to another topic. Let's go to the pot, the marijuana. What do you think is going to happen there? 8:48, back with Joe Griffo next on WIBX. Senator Joe Griffo is in. The Senate has lost control. The Republicans have lost control of the New York State Senate. Lou in Utica taking issue with something that the senator said. Lou, you're on the radio.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, I have a knee-jerk reaction to when I hear people talk about fraud and abuse at the polling places. There have been massive studies and massive investigations by our federal government authorities into this. And every time they come up with the fact that it is trivial, insignificant, 2 or 3 votes in a matter of millions of votes cast. And Bill, you're 100% correct. Would all this talk about making voting a little more difficult is all about keeping people away from the polls. That's what it's all about. The 24 states in the country created these incredible voting regulations, which it was all under the mastery of Karl Rove, who is nothing more than a way to play the numbers.
He did.
Okay, and Russia through the last election.
No,
right?
no. I know Karl Rove played a role in that. But listen, I have to say that you have to have an ID to walk in anywhere. It's like
nothing wrong with ID, Bill. Nothing wrong with
I think there should be IDs. I mean, because anybody can go and vote, and
nothing wrong with having an ID. But first of all, understand: 10 years in jail, $10,000 fine if you try and double vote and you're caught.
Okay.
You'd have to be out of your mind to do that, and it's proven that people don't do it. People aren't interested in doing it. But the problem with the IDs, Bill, is the way they set these ID situations up in particular states. Some of them are fairer than others.
I agree. You're right.
It's basically what it's about is your driver's license is a legit ID. Now, who doesn't have driver's license? Particularly people who live in inner cities, particularly people who are poor, particularly people who vote for one party.
But if you get an ID card, hold on,
being played. It's a numbers game, and that's all it is. And if you look, calling somebody if you can from the Brennan Center, they're the experts on this.
Right.
They will tell you that there is some voter fraud in the country. That is a problem, but overwhelmingly, it is not by individuals come to the polls. It's by people who have control of ballots. In other words, officials who have control of ballots. Yeah. And not one of these states who created these voter ID laws addressed that situation, where 99% of the voter fraud exists was untouched. It's just crazy. But the Brennan Center, if you can get somebody from them to come on, you learn a lot.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Can I just quickly, if the concern is those who live in poverty, isn't a benefits card a form of a photo ID? It has your picture on it. It says, for instance, New York State.
If you don't have a driver's license, you can get from the DMV an ID card, which
how much is it
looks just like a license.
The idea is that there's a cost tied to it, so some people won't get it.
So what are they getting?
But with the benefits card,
the
I think you're issued that.
Listen, the Democrats people in the inner city tend to vote Democrat. Therefore, the Democrats want to make it as easy as possible for them to vote, realizing that many of those people will not vote because they're not engaged in the system. So they want to make it so easy that they can bring in their vote. Republicans would prefer it not to happen because it changes the dynamic of the election. Is my assessment on it. Joe will disagree. But
no. My point was that
there's
nothing more important to the essence of our democracy is based upon the integrity of the vote.
I agree.
And I'm not saying that there's pervasive fraud across the nation, because it would be contrary to what I've indicated in the sense that this is the important thing that we take for granted, basically.
Would you agree?
Let me finish, though, Bill, because this is the point that your caller just made. What I said from the very beginning was there's nothing more important than this to who we are and what we are, and I believe overall that we've always had that type of confidence in our ability to get it done right. Yeah, there's problems here and there, and yes, there's occasional fraud, but overall, that's what I said earlier, if they were really listening, that overall we've gotten it right, and we can't jeopardize that. So
Don't
yes,
you feel
we should have these conversations and debates, but we got to be cognizant of that and sensitive to that.
Don't you feel it's irresponsible of the president to come out and say, this election, it's completely, it's no good anymore, you got to have another? That's ridiculous to come out of the presidency of the United States.
I think we got to tone down that type of rhetoric. I think the judge that talked about it to all sides,
he was right on, spot on. Tone it down, people. This is getting ridiculous.
And so are the perpetual campaigns. I mean, we talked about that. That outrages me. People are tired. I actually like the parliamentary system when you look at it in some cases where there's only a certain period of time where these people can run for office. It's outrageous. I mean, the new campaigns have begun already.
I want to ask you, don't you feel, though, that a Democrat elected upstate is going to have a little different philosophy on way of life than a Democrat from the inner city, from New York City, from the 5 boroughs? Therefore, won't there be an opportunity for you as a Republican upstate to very much work with across the aisle like you did with Anthony Brindisi? I mean, he's a great example of that.
Well, I did the same with Dave Valesky, too.
Dave Valesky. And, I mean, don't you feel you'll still be able to create your coalition?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to continue to do the Mohawk Valley 9, which I formulated, and we'll include people from both sides of the aisle, and we'll have some new faces there in Albany to focus attention on our region and to advocate for our communities. But beyond that, I've always tried, as I indicated a lot of times in the past, you run on a party label. You get elected to hold public office. And at that time, you need to work together.
Right.
You're not going to agree. You don't have to abandon your core philosophic beliefs or political philosophies, but you need to find a way to work together to govern because you've been elected now to that position. I've always gotten along with people on both sides of the aisle. I've tried to earn people's respect, even when we disagree. So I believe that I will be able to have that conversation. We'll be able to do our job to provide to meet the needs of our constituents when they have issues with various state agencies or other problems. We'll still be able to advocate for major projects in the community. It's more like some of the smaller things, like as I indicated, when you can call for a hearing. With the level of staffing that you may have. It's actually the petty stuff, like you go from a 4-room office to a 2-room office, things of that nature.
And the gavel.
The gavel definitely will go now to the majority, correct.
It'll always look good seeing you up there with a gavel. I know we have to break, but do you think there are enough upstate Democrats who will support the Second Amendment that we will not see craziness coming out of added to the New York SAFE Act?
Not with this majority because it's 40-23, so there's only about 4 upstate Democrats, unless some changes in philosophy come into Hudson Valley. And I think Senator-elect May actually is very progressive from the Syracuse area, much more than Senator Valesky. So there's a couple out, one in Buffalo. I'm not sure. I can't answer that question.
We'll do it again. Word is you're going to have a Christmas song for our Christmas show. I'm looking forward to it. Got to go. Thank you, Joe Griffo.